Incoming video from sources unknown! Patch it through. Who is this? Man, when you hear that music, you know someone rad is gonna be behind the beat. Sure enough, Dynamo was one cool dude. From the moment he showed up, he became an instant fan favorite for many players. What makes him cool? What's going on with his design? What does he even do? Let's dive into the wannabe Dante mercenary in The Basics on Dynamo. Man, didn't even have to edit that intro screen. Thanks, X5! Dynamo is a mysterious character. Which sounds cool until you realize that so many characters in Mega Man are mysterious. It really feels like backgrounds and origins were just too much effort, so people just said, screw it, use mysterious and call it a day. Anyway, he shows up in X5 for the first time, and was intended as the game's rival, which he played well. We learn that the guy is a mercenary, who was hired by another mysterious figure that's totally not Sigma. See, you only get a close-up of his face, and even though you see his eye markings, just like, no, you totally don't know this character. Spoiler.
It is Sigma.
How and when Dynamo really came into the picture is up in the air. But what we do know is that he is considered to be of special A-class hunter skills. This means Dynamo is a threat. Dynamo being such a skilled mercenary must mean he comes at a hefty price. This skill though is likely why Sigma sought him out. Vile was out of the picture and, let's face it, Vile's kind of a wild card. Dynamo was not only skilled, but likely had a track of successful missions under him. Man, Dynamo has a fun personality, one that really shines under the gloom and doom that is X5. From the get-go he's laid back, taunting the players with a degree of sass that we haven't really seen yet in the series. He very much gives vibes of Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Carefree, skilled, smart aleck.
Easy, Fido. How about I take you out for a walk? Come on, puppy. Let's go.
He just has that pizzazz. I mean, right out of the gate, we see him referring to the heroes as Mr. X and Mr. Zero. That's just patronizing. While Dynamo may seem immature or sometimes stupid, he has a level head on his shoulders. He knows when to strike and when to retreat.
Dinner!
Dynamo first appears in Mega Man X5 from the start of the game. He's hired by Sigma to help in the latest and greatest evil plot, crash a colony while covering the planet in his virus. It's never explained why Dynamo went along with this plan, the end result being global destruction. There's no world, nowhere to spend money, and there's also the risk of him being infected with the Maverick virus. Which brings up another point actually. It's debatable if he is a Maverick or if he's just a criminal. By definition, a Maverick is a robot with a defect in their electronic brain. If it's the latter, why is he willing to open himself up to such a life-threatening risk? The most we know is that Sigma was protecting him, though what exactly that means is debatable. Either way, he goes along with Sigma's plan and sneaks aboard the space colony, where he then hacks it and infects it with a virus, sending it on a crash course to Earth. Maverick or not, this is grounds for hunting the dude down. While the hunters panic and work endlessly to avoid the worst of this event, Dynamo steps in to distract X and Zero. Twice. The first time he fights, he shows off his playful side, not taking the fight seriously, but the second time, he goes all out, and then admits how strong the hunters actually are. In both cases, he's smart enough to know when he's beat, and nopes right out of there, but not before dropping some sass. If Dynamo's gonna fall, it's gonna be on his own terms. Something to note, the hunters just treat Dynamo like a nuisance, rather than a serious criminal, implying that they're actually unaware he brought down the colony. Makes you wonder what else he's hiding. Later on, he shows up in X6 as an optional boss. His whole point of even being in the game is just to give you a means to farm Nightmare Souls, and to replace the other optional bosses should they be defeated. Lore-wise, while the hunters are gathering nightmare souls to research, he is gathering his own to power himself up. Each time you encounter him, he runs in defeat, but not without being a smug jerk about the encounter, usually dunking on himself, always having to run. He hasn't reappeared in a mainline game yet, but he was in Dive's story briefly. They did him a disservice, in my opinion, by having him be summoned by gaslighting Queen Arato, and fighting on her behalf. He was also a playable character, but unlike some, there was no story reason behind him being added to the game's roster. He was just added because he's cool, and honestly that's fair. I was happy to see him at least. Have you ever looked at Dynamo's helmet and wondered what it even was? As a kid, I thought it was based on a praying mantis, which given the rest of his design doesn't quite make sense. Years later though, thanks to some words of wisdom from the megaman.exe complete works, that he's actually based on an American cavalry soldier, likely a Union one given the color scheme. So his helmet, while not being completely round, is supposed to actually look like one of their hats. Sometimes it's easier to see given the angle they draw in. I think it really stands out in this art. His buster is designed to look like a revolver, with a rigid chamber shell, and even a little sight on it. He also uses a saber, playing more into the cavalry soldier. Being the rival character, he was thought up to be a mix of X and Zero, utilizing both of their weapons, and taking aesthetics from each of them. When it comes to moves and abilities, Dynamo is far from lacking. He has the makings of a rival character, and switches up his moves to keep pattern memorizing players on their toes. First, we'll look at his saber. A rather unique type of saber, the D-Blade, which I assume stands for Dynamo Blade, it's just a handle that looks like Zero Z Saber, except it's missing the guard. Though it has two bottom portions, it's actually a double-sided saber. This is Dynamo's primary weapon, of which he whips out some cool moves that frankly, I wish we could have pulled off at some point. The first is he can spin it in front of him, using it to mimic a shield. It's kinda surprising it took 5 games for a move like this to show up. It's rather a staple for robotic beings to do. Though logic goes out the window with his next move. He's able to throw his blade and have it return to him like a boomerang, or sometimes just hang out. Okay? Well, by the time that XX came around, he started to mix these moves together, and displays that he has multiple sabers. You could also argue that this is a nightmare effect from all the souls he's gathered. One of his trickier moves, though, is the swallow cut, which I'm not going to try and even pronounce that in Japanese because I'm going to mess it up. This move, he lunges forward and performs a massive swing taking up way too much of the screen. There's some interesting background to this move. It's named after a sword strike by famous swordsman Kojiro Sasaki. Oh cool, he's in Onimusha, another Capcom game. Thanks for the easy footage, guys. This man wielded a 3-foot long blade. Frankly, that part alone explains why the move has such a large hitbox. In a nutshell though, Kojiro had a signature move that was said he used to cut a swallow out of the sky, hence the name. This move is very much unlike what Dynamo does. While Dynamo just slashes and kinda flips, the real attack is a downward slash that then is immediately reversed and cuts upward. Aside from the blade size, I'm not really sure what they were thinking when they named this move. Dynamo's Buster is only used if you fight him as Zero in X5. Though thankfully, Dive remembered for his boss fight that he actually had one, because they didn't remember that he had one when they made his playable character model. He can shoot Buster shots that split, adding more to his tricky fighting style. Lastly, we see he takes after Zero a bit, and comes in with his own ground pound move. Charging up some electrical ball in his hand, he slams the ground, causing some tough to dodge electrical energy pillars to fire up from below. And you've made it to the end. That wraps up our X5 rival chat of an enemy. What are your thoughts on Dynamo? Is he a fully fledged maverick? Or just a criminal with some serious charges? Do you want to see him return? Let me know in the comments below!